One channel, different shows, everything entertaining. Make a Path presents Let's Talk. Alright, Deadheads, I was pretty convinced I had a very good idea when Morgan was going to return, so I'm just going to risk sounding like a know-it-all asshole, and I'm going to pretend like I know it all. Let's talk. Morgan returns. Let's jump into this. When should Morgan return? Logically based on the writing. If we were storytellers, instead of, and I know, I am with you guys. When I was like 8 years old playing with G.I. Joes, man, I had the heroes come in at the last possible moment. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not going to happen. Morgan is not going to save Gabriel. He's not going to save our group at the church from the herd. He's not going to do any of that because he is at a minimum of a few weeks behind them. The timeline just doesn't fit. What does fit the timeline of the story is if Morgan shows up a little bit behind our group after they leave the church for good. So let's rewind a little bit. I know a lot of people are having a difficult time trying to accept that the hunters were the ones making the marks. They wanted more of a mystery. Unless they do something radical, like Rick makes it to a big destination. They make that destination home, and then after a week or two of being there, Rick and a couple people decide to backtrack to all the places they've been and make marks on the trees, saying that they cleared these areas. It is ridiculous for two reasons. You could clear an area and leave, a day later a new group is going to set up shop there or set up a camp. It makes absolutely no sense. You can't clear an area and move on. Morgan was clearing areas in town, but he was staying in town. So if he cleared a couple of these buildings, he's staying there so they stay clear. So it makes no sense whatsoever for Rick to do that, unless they were setting up outposts. And then if that's the case, Morgan would run into them and not just symbols. Another big thing is if Rick was clearing these areas, why the hell would he pick trees that lead into the woods next to Terminus? Why wouldn't he put a big clear symbol on Terminus's building or on the church or something like that? You know what I'm saying? If you look at these pictures of the X symbols, they're very close together on these trees. You know what I'm saying? And it looks more like a path. And what did Gareth say? His people made them. So you can have a guy make an X on a tree, a guy make an X on a tree. A couple of the group are a few feet ahead of them, X on a tree, and then you keep going, get a couple X's. You have multiple people. That makes sense. They made a path that would lead them straight to the church. Morgan follows the Terminus markings, which lead to the church. When he gets to the church, by this time, we're going to see the modifications the group made with the spikes and everything like that. There might be a couple walkers, killing one or two walkers, and then finding the map. The map is important because why the hell would the writers have Abraham putting Rick's name on the map? The map was shown to us for a reason. I mean, if it was just given to him for the story's sake, he could have been like, here's a map. Follow this map. That'll lead you to where we are. They went out of their way to show us this map. When they're making movies, they don't just have a camera and they go like this. They got to get the lighting right. They have these certain cameras. I mean, they set it up. They have someone draw the map, make the map to perfection how they want it. There's a lot of work. So it's in there for a purpose, and I believe that purpose is another part of the breadcrumbs for Morgan to follow. And we don't see Morgan again until he gets to the big A, let's call it. So depending on what happens in episode 8, and depending on if they leave us a cliffhanger or not, we will see Morgan either in the mid-season finale, after the whole episode is over, we'll see him kind of like in the credits again, getting to the church when it's been abandoned by our group. He finds the map and he continues on his journey. Or, and this is an option that I prefer, or we don't see him in the mid-season finale. And the mid-season finale has somewhat of a cliffhanger. And then we saw him on, what do you call the Breaks episode? I have no idea. The return episode? The return premiere episode? Whatever. But I think it would be pretty cool to see Morgan in the premiere episode like we did in No Sanctuary. And then we see him in the return premiere episode. That would be episode 9. However, I'm still placing most of my bets in the mid-season finale. But I'm just letting you know, if we don't see him at the end of the mid-season finale, we will see him in the return premiere episode. Almost without a doubt, we will see him. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's connected and it makes sense. But I see a lot of confusion as to, well, why will he come in the mid-season finale? Because it's the mid-season finale? No, because this is when our group leaves the church. You know, it's no longer in the story. So there's no point to put it in a different episode because it's no longer in the story. Just like the Terminus sign. The Terminus sign was no longer in any of the other episodes, so you put it in the first episode. And I do believe that they did record Morgan separately, and that's why there's no rumors about seeing him sighted. I rambled a lot. I just talked for 20 minutes, and I'm going to trim the shit out of this video because I want to give you guys a couple short ones. These are viewer-requested videos, don't forget. Again, if I wasted your time, I'm sorry. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Alright guys, I love you. Have a great holiday. If you're not having a holiday, the next time you have a holiday, have a great holiday. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.